What is the problem with this? Or this? Or even with this one? Are you able to spot what's wrong? The fact is that I see problems like this one and many others in many reporting solutions that I'm asked to work with. On today's video, I'm going to show you my top mistakes to avoid when creating reporting solutions. And what I'm going to show you, it's more about those overlooked topics that nobody wants to talk about. We all tend to talk about functionalities, different technical solutions, and all the designs that we like. But at the end of the day, good reporting solutions are way more than just a nice dashboard. Let me put it this way. You work for weeks on a reporting solution. You create multiple iterations, work on different changes, and at the end of the day, you end up having a beautifully organized dashboard. All is looking great. You will get a ton of recognition just because of this dashboard, and more parts on the business are going to ask you to create more solutions. All good. The day comes when you have to present the final solution. After that, the whole dashboard is going to go live and users can start working with it. Halfway through the presentation, this is usually what happens.
Excuse me? Sorry to interrupt. Are those real numbers or are we talking of fake numbers right now?
Right there, you know. I don't have to tell you. You have the wrong numbers. Either you did not clean the data properly or the calculations of your measures were wrong. Anyway, whatever numbers you're showing are not worth it. You're off to a really bad start. And if your reporting solution starts this bad, probably people will not trust what's going to be in there going forward. And I know what you're thinking. Who doesn't check the numbers before they publish anything? In fact, most of you probably already check the numbers before you go live. Otherwise, it would be a complete waste of time to create a report and then publish it for all the numbers to be wrong. So at least that part you have covered. Do you? Okay, let's assume that is true. You have the right numbers. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen this game before? This is Finding Wally, and it's quite simple. The point is for you to find somebody in the middle of all of these people. The idea is that you will see yourself overwhelmed with so much information to the point that you will have quite a lot of trouble finding exactly what you want. So my question is, why do we do the same with our reporting solutions? For example, how many measures do you have in your reporting solutions? What is the right number? The answer is probably not that easy. The right amount of information is one of the other issues I have found time and time again. We all have fallen into the mistake of cramping graphs and KPIs and all the filters and slicers, everything that you can into that dashboard so that everybody can have absolutely everything they need. At the end of the day, the more the better, right? That way, users cannot say that there's something missing. Wrong. Let me give you my answer. When it comes to reporting solutions, you need to know who the end user is going to be. Are you building this solution for, the VP of sales? Or are you building this for the daily operations team? Knowing who the end user is will allow you to know how much information you need to put into your dashboard. And usually, based on my experience, the answer is the minimum possible. The least information you can have and still get answers, the better. That way you don't get unnecessary distractions and everybody can make better decisions quickly. Now, coming to the next issue that I have found many times. I have suffered this issue every place I've worked in. And honestly, I haven't found the right answer. I have found places that do it better than others, but I don't see anybody doing it exactly right. When it comes to data teams, it's quite a common situation to find yourself developers that come and go. Changes in teams or people leaving basically the company are every day more common. That means that any reporting solution will end up having no real support, as all the knowledge of the developer of that solution will go with them. And as much as I hate myself having to do it, it's probably the best solution that we have out there. Documentation. We need to document what we create. And I'm not talking about creating the documentation for just the metrics, explaining what each metric is. No. We need to know the connections. We need to know what was done in the ETL process. Why? What problems did we find? The more information we can have in the documentation, the easier it would be for the next person to grab that documentation and know what's wrong with the actual solution. Basically, you need to understand why the solution is the way it is and not how it's supposed to be. At the end of the day, none of us can deny that whenever you find really great documentation, it's like finding gold. So why not try to create gold, every one of us? Now, if I show you this picture and I told you grab the plane and fly to the next town over, would you be able to do it? Maybe some of you do. I'm not gonna say you don't. But the majority of us have no clue on what we're doing and would probably think that it's much easier and better to just take the car. This is an extreme example of how not knowing how to use the tool that you have been given, it makes the whole tool useless. It can be the most powerful tool out there that if you don't know how to use it, it's worthless. But honestly, it is not uncommon to find solutions that have the latest functionalities, tooltips, drill-throughs, all of those nice things that the end users actually don't even know that exist or don't even know how to use them. We must be aware of who we are developing for. When it comes to reporting solutions, in my experience, something simple and clean is the most powerful tool you can have out there. Hey, and don't get me wrong, I'm the first one that likes to sometimes do something fancy and challenge myself to see what I can do with the tools I create. But at the end of the day, the last thing that we want is to spend more time having to explain how to use a tool than the time we actually spend in developing the tool. There is an undeniable truth, and that is that a reporting solution is only as good as the data that it is using. In fact, any analysis that it's done by a business analyst or a data analyst is also only as good as the data that it's used. That's the famous shit in, shit out, or was it gold in, gold out? Anyway, the point is that if you don't have the right data in your report, the report is completely useless. And you're probably thinking, hey, he has already mentioned that. And you're not wrong. But you're also not right. My next point is controversial. In fact, I have seen several people defending either side. Some of them say that it's completely necessary, and others think that it's completely unnecessary. So let me give you an example. I think it makes it way easier to understand. No matter in which country you are, when it comes to elections, there's always polls. Polls that are telling you who will win and who will lose. And no matter in which country we are, I think we can all agree that depends on the channel that you're looking into. Some will say that one is winning and another channel will say that the other party is winning. In fact, the tighter it is, the more complicated it is to actually know what's going on. This also happens in companies. Most organizations would like to show the numbers the way it makes them look good. And at the end of the day, this will only make for more time lost discussing which numbers are right instead of taking decisions in order to improve those numbers. For me, there's a solution: a single source of truth, or at least having an agreement on which source is going to be the one we're going to use for the main reporting. Then you can have other sources that you use for ad hoc reporting for different analysis. But at the end of the day, if we want to know which are our main KPIs, we need to all agree in which is going to be the source for them. This is the only way to avoid unnecessary conflicts and hours of discussion on the numbers. Now, what if I told you this? You will know what you want once you see it. You've heard that before, right? Your end user hasn't. In fact, you believe so much that they know exactly what they want that you will just develop exactly what they tell you to do. And that is the next mistake: not trusting yourself. You are the expert. You know what can be done, how it can be done, what works and what doesn't work. That is exactly what they come to you and not to someone else. So trust yourself. I have seen way too many reports that make no sense, and it's just because one user decided that they wanted to have it their way. So they're the only user that can use that report, and the rest need something else. The best part of all of this is that all of these mistakes can be avoided with the right process. In fact, I myself follow a process that makes sure that I avoid all of those mistakes. If you want to know what the process is, I'm going to leave you a video right here where you can see exactly my process that you can also follow. Go have a look.